Right, we have had more issues, as I'm sure everyone's excited to hear. Oh, YouTube, why are you so impossible to use? Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, YouTube. Stop that. Alrighty. Just gonna invite some people. And everyone. Sorry about the slow start. I tried to do a scheduling thing where you schedule YouTube ahead of time to set up this whole nonsense, and it was supposed to be working right. And last time I did it, it worked fine. But then, yeah. Sorry, I was typing something. Anyway, I tried to set up the... Hey, Deadly Bunnies. I tried to set up the streaming thing, and it wasn't registering with my normal streaming, so that was kind of annoying. And we had issues. So I accidentally started 2 streams at once, which was awkward. So then I had to go back and delete the other one so that we didn't have 2 live events at once for the same thing. Yeah. So it's going well. Technology and I getting along swimmingly. And I am just posting links around the 10 million discords that this stream's happening. And then we'll get going. How are people doing? Okay. Post those good enough. Hi, friends. So today we have an interesting event that I set up with a couple friends. Contacted some people that have been active in the community and asked them if they could play some factions for me. So what we're doing today is having the main Shield of Order in Bretonnia, the Empire, and the Dwarves fighting against the first Chaos invasion. So we have Chaos, Norska, and the Beastmen. And how this is going to work is we set up some agreed upon first matchups. Some of them being thematic, like Boris Todbringer versus Kazric One-Eye. And, hey, Neckbet. And they fight, and whichever one of them wins stays alive. And we go through the whole side. And, I mean, if all 5 of one side loses, it's over. You're done. But let's say Boris, Volkmar, and Lewin win. And on the other side, Malagor and Wulfric win. Then we go into round 2, which I already have all the replays for, of Boris and Volkmar and Lewin fighting Malagor and Wulfric until there's only one person left. Or multiple if one team just crushes it. But we have all the replays, and it should be, hopefully, a smooth stream. So we're going to start with Biblington of the Empire, leading Boris Todbringer into battle against Deadly Bunnies on the Beastmen with Kazric One-Eye. And I think we should be good to go. So we're loading in to Bloodpine Woods. Boris has left Middenland to the Wolves as he just wants to get straight out there and kill Kazric, who has plagued him for many years. So I threw it into slow-mo because we have some really fast action here. What do we have? 4 Pistoliers from Biblington, Spearmen, Swordsmen, Frontline, some Flagellants, and Knights of the Blazing Sun. So a lot of cav. This is mostly a cav army. On the other side for Deadly Bunnies, we have Centaurs with great weapons, Ungor herds that just take some fire, more Ungor herd. Yeah, it is you, Biblington. Good to see you, buddy. More Centaurs with great weapons, even the Sons of Goros. Oh boy. Brave Shaman of Wilds, and some throwing axes. Gorbel and Kazric. Is Kazric on his chariot? Yep. So I think these Centaurs will actually be quite good against what Biblington brought. A lot of armor-piercing anti-cav. That'll be good. Why is the screen so square? I don't know. I do have a very large square monitor. That might be why. I had to change the aspect ratio. Sorry about that. Pistoliers are teeing off into Ungor herds, and there's a massive Centaur charge just straight into these Knights of the Blazing Sun, pushing them off of the poor Ungords who are just trying to live their day. And ooh, is that a Traitorkin? Ooh, a nice Traderkin there, doing a ton of damage to these Pistoliers while a Burning Head repeats. So a lot of magic trading so far, and a good amount of damage at that. Boris Todbringer looking to maybe try to dive onto the Spray Shaman of Wilds, but considering the amount of support around, I doubt that that is going to happen. And the Pistoliers are all about half health from a very nice Traderkin cast. That Unger Herd gets incidentally roasted by a Burning Head, and there are some Knights just observing the carnage. Here the Empire front line is finally about to get stuck in, and the Beastmen run away. Didn't even... Sigmar Sun's got to kill one guy. But now Centaurs are piling in, and they'll actually get some good trading off. Flagellants are fighting an Ungor Herd in the trees. You think the trees would favor the Ungor Herd, but they look like they're getting melted, and Boris just standing by to be scary. Now it looks like the Beastmen Hero Squad has gotten involved, and they're right on top of this Bright Wizard who's kind of gotta get out of there. The Beastmen are taking some Pistolier fire, but it's really not dealing that much damage, and they're getting more than their fair share on the Bright Wizard. The Beastmen are having a tough time, though. It seems wherever their front line is connected, it's been running away. As Boris just dives in, balls deep, trying to get Kazarek. And he's doing some damage, mostly doing leadership damage to him, as the Gorbel turns around to come help his stuck-up leader. And the Bray Shaman of Wilds is even getting in, not running away as I thought he might. And now with a bunch of mass piling in, if Deadly Bunnies can just pull these Centaurs with throwing axes in maybe this way, I think Boris will be fully trapped up and might even get chopped to pieces. He's already at 1/3 health, but he did find a nice avenue out there, and he might stabilize and get back into the sky. Pistoliers here cutting down some hapless Centaurs, and Hounds running off. They're awfully close to the side of the map, and the Beastmen are well known for their speed, especially when running away. So I think they'll run straight off the map. We have a Bright Wizard, and the Beastmen are in a decent position. Both sides have lost a lot. I was going to say the Beastmen are in a bad spot, but then I zoomed out and saw that Empire also didn't have much left. So both front lines have been pretty well crumped, and now it's just Cav versus Cav. Knights of the Blazing Sun, and yeah, 3 units of Knights of the Blazing Sun, all just firing against these Chaos Warhounds of Poison and Centaurs with great weapons. And I am a little surprised the dogs are doing this well in this fight. You think that they would just be getting blasted and cut down. Boris is getting zoned off by some good throwing axes in his exposed underbelly, while Gorbil and Bray Shaman of Wilds are just chasing after that poor Bright Wizard who is apparently shattered. So Empire's without magic, and their leader is being a bit of a coward. And that might spell the doom of them. Pistoliers are just about out of ammo, and they're definitely running into the Wood Elf problem of every shot they take actually hurts the balance of power against these Ungor herds. Flagellants, I don't think will be able to carry the day, and this pocket of Knights just eventually got crumped by way too many Centaurs. Yeah. Turns out if you just take a bunch of Centaurs, Beastmen are OP. And I did see that there's a Centaur ROR coming in the DLC, so I'm sure Deadly Bunnies will be happy to see that. Some Beastmen getting routed off here, just a little bit of revenge for Boris Todbringer, but this game is getting a little out of his hands. I do believe he will be flying back to Midland to regather his forces. Maybe he'll try to dive in and get one more hit. I mean, if he wants to win this game, he'll have to, but if he wants to preserve his life, he probably won't dive in. He's just swooping around. He does have some debuffs if things are at low leadership, so maybe Biblington is just trying to use those debuffs on this little blob, but I don't think he has enough sticking power left in that it matters too much. He might need the Terror more, and Boris is about to break as he charges in. He nopes out of there. See you later, Boris. And now it's down to the Sigma Sons. I think the Empire's got this. I think the... Oh. Well, it looks like there was an early surrender there, but maybe they could have carried. Sigma Sons did fine. Boris had a hard time. We did discuss beforehand what people would be playing, so I'm sure Boris was not Biblington's first choice, but props to him for playing it anyway for the memes, because I did want him to fight Kazarek One-Eye, because I mean, how can you not? How can you not have the Empire and Beastmen fighting in a tournament and structure it in such a way? So I need to figure out my streaming software. Scoreboard? Scoreboard. All right. Biblington, I see you in the chat. What's your favorite color? If Biblington wants revenge, you can challenge Deadly Bunnies to a spelling contest. Maybe. If Biblington does not give me a favorite color, I will use red to take him off the list. Blue. All right. Back to Photoshop. Let's get a nice blue. No, that's dull. That's dull blue. Yeah, deep blue. All right. Biblington and Boris Todbringer have been eliminated. And Deadly Bunnies moves on to the second round. And now we'll have RTK Felix on Volkmar the Grim versus BBB Rocket Raoul on Archaon the Everchosen. Surely a hyped matchup, if I can remember how anything works. Just kidding. Got it. All right. On we go to game 2. Felix versus Rocket Raoul. We can see here, I hope I'm saying that right. Felix is going with mostly a mobile build. Outrider Skirmish Kite, it looks like, with some Empire Knights and Demigryph Knights with Halberds to back it up. And then a Warrior Priest and Volkmar for the buffs. Outriders, Outriders. Where's the Wizard? I swear there was Wizard. Ah, there we go. Jade Wizard. Jade Wizard with Earthblood and Regrowth. So very nice. And on the Forces of Chaos with Rocket, we will have an Exalted Hero on a Manticore, Archaon the Everchosen, a separate Metal Caster, Chaos Marauders, Forsakens, Dogs, Forsaken, Chaos Marauders. Some Chosen with great weapons. Ooh, that's spicy. The rest of this was pretty standard. Just a lot of infantry to bog down the Empire Cav and just eat their bullets. But Chosen with great weapons in the back. That is spicy indeed. The Chaos Sorcerer Metal only has Plague of Rust, while Archie only has Burning Head. Other than that, he has Slayer of Kings and such, but we expected that. Hank Cyrus, I don't know why you can't rewatch my streams. That's odd. I think they're on my channel and I should be able to post them? I don't know, is our live events not available? Do you have to re-upload them? I don't know. Maybe someone in chat will know. I don't know if you have to re-upload things after you stream them. I thought live streams just automatically saved. If they didn't, that is my bad. So Chaos Marauders just getting pelted with some Outrider fire, as are the Marauder Horsemen. And the Empire taking its time, poking and prodding. There's no reason that they want to fight, because then, you know, even if they built for it, the Empire would lose the melee fight against Chaos, as that's their specialty. So Felix here is just trying to stay at a distance. Volkmar the Grim riding dirty through some Chaos Marauders, going to cast a quick Soulfire bombardment on himself and run it. Ooh, some Forsaken sprinting straight into it. That's not great for them. They take about 1/3 health in damage. Empire Knight sitting on the side with the Demigryphs charging in. They're just trying to keep everything off the Outriders. Pretty much what Felix is going to want to do is cycle charge and burn all the Outrider ammunition before actually committing to anything. But Archie gets on top of Volkmar and does some good damage before the Empire countercharge. Now there are, I believe, 2 different Shields of Faith. Yep. So there is 66% damage resistance on these Royal Arctuf Gryphites, making them very tanky indeed. And the Forsaken around Archaon just get cut down. Now he's getting shot on his way out, though he is able to duck and weave his way out of all those Knights. We have Outriders here still firing, still trying to help. The Exalted Hero's taking a little bit of damage, but the Jade Winder's down to half health. Ooh, Felix has to be careful of that. If that Exalted Hero gets on him right now, just like he is, and if he gets a couple good hits, that Wizard will be broken off, maybe even shattered. Around the map, let's see. Some Empire Knights have taken a lot of damage. Some Spearmen are getting stuck in where they will. Outriders are mostly just running away from Dogs, though, and that's going to be a bit of a problem if you can't get them over here to help shoot at Archaon or this Exalted Hero. Archaon is a better fighter than Volkmar. Though Volkmar is, you know, better support. Exalted Hero is getting a little mucked up, and he really isn't getting any attack animations off, which is terrible for him. He's just getting hit and hit and hit, and his character is T-posing all over these Royal Arctuf Gryphites as he dies. Oof. That's a bad loss for Chaos, and they really don't have a lot of cav to send in with this. Now, interestingly enough, Outriders are charging into melee combat. That might be a mistake, but we'll see. Jade Wizard's over here about half health, but as long as he's not broken, he is fine. And this pocket's going extremely well for the Empire. Checking out the other side of the battlefield, looks like some Outriders about to get caught by Dogs. Most of the micro for the Empire player is probably in this very important engagement. But we can see that they're finally getting collapsed on a little bit, and those Outriders have a lot of ammunition left. If they get broken off, that's going to be a terrible loss for the Empire. But I would still say the Empire's in a favored position right now, with one Exalted Hero getting chopped off, and a good amount of the Chaos Infantry has already been blown up. Empire Knights charging in, trying to clean up some stuff, and it looks like a burning head from Archie is just trying to move these cav around, get them off him for a little bit, because I think he is trying to back out of there. Over here, this catch, the Empire Knights took their place, sacrificing themselves to get the Outriders out, but they are having a bad time of it. Where's the edge of the map? Oh, edge of the map's pretty far off. Even if they break, I think they'll be able to come back pretty fine. Archaon is just getting worked on. I bet he wishes he had a life caster about now, or healing of any kind, regen. Maybe Nurgle could bless him for once. Jade Wizard getting pounced on by some Marauder Horsemen, but they're kind of weak in melee calves. So they won't be okay. But then Archie comes in, and he is not weak in combat. Oh my god! Just clubs him in the face. He's dead. Well, rest in peace, Life Wizard. You're gone, buddy. Okay, over here, some pissed Outriders got collapsed on by all these various Chaos Infantry. If I wasn't too busy laughing at that Life Wizard, I maybe could have seen how they all caught him. And these Chosen with Great Weapons are still at half health, and if the Outriders run out of ammo to deal with them, I don't think any amount of cycle charging will take them down. But that was hilarious. Poor Life Wizard. Over here, some Empire Knights chasing around some dogs who are at very low leadership, as dogs are wont to do, and they have terrible armor piercing. So I think maybe even just 17 Empire Knights could take both these dogs. Spearmen just trying to come back in the fight, beat chaff, as they do. Outriders running around. It looks like they're going to go clean up the dogs. I disagree with that. I think you should bring them over here and fight these Chosen with Great Weapons, but I'm screaming at a replay, so I doubt either player can do much about that at this point. Volkmar casting a nice Soulfire Bombardment, taking out some Chaos Marauders. I wonder if the Warrior Priest has his Soulfire off cooldown. It'd be good to know. So we have 3 Outriders I can see. Yep, 3 Outriders, 1 with about half ammo, which is really good, and then 2 at about a quarter, maybe a fifth. So the Empire has plenty of firepower to finish this out. I don't think Chaos can afford to wait and let them do that. Not that Rocket is going to. All game he's been trying to get on top of these Outriders to mixed success. Dogs piling in on the back. Their leadership's wavering a little bit, but winning in combat versus Outriders will help them stay in it. Chaos Sorcerer of Metal's just chilling over here, having his day. I don't know if his Plague of Rust is going to be particularly useful without the Marauder Horsemen around to throw anything. And Volkmar is pulling out of a decently bad situation. The Royal Arctic Griffites finally broke. Maybe if dogs can get on them and chase them off, that'd be a good play, but the dog's leadership's too low, and they'll probably just tear her out, even from a fleeing unit. So actually, did they shatter? I think the Griffites either shattered or died, because I don't see their banner thingy anywhere. Some Outriders over here being idle. Some Empire Knights over here chilling as well. They should probably come back in, but the Empire player is definitely allowed to make mistakes at this point. He's far enough ahead for the moment, unless Archaon can put on some serious carry pants. Hey, Cap Morgan, good to see you. Warrior Priest and Volkmar are going to stick together, have their overlapping buffs, because for those of you who don't know, most of Volkmar's blessings are different than the Warrior Priest, because they'll be like Grand or Supreme, Hammer of Sigmar type of thing, so they actually stack pretty well, especially the damage resistance auras. So Volkmar and this guy are just cleaning up some chaff, dealing with that. Chosen with Great Weapons, hanging on. They're at half leadership, and as long as they're there, Archaon maybe can group up with them and form a little death blob. Outriders using the last of their ammunition on these dogs, chasing them off. Those Empire Knights are getting an ice cream cone. And these Outriders have a good amount of ammo, but they're trying to conserve it and just cycle charge the poor Chaos Marauders to death. Looking on this half of the battlefield, is there anything? Nope, just grass. Sorcerer of Metal is grouping up with some Forsaken to chase off the Outriders that had a ton of ammo, and I don't know how they got caught. I think Felix plays with skirmish mode off is what's going on here, because there's no way Forsaken caught them on foot. Outriders out of ammo, chasing off their own Empire Knights. I believe he's actually grouping up and just being a bit of a dick. Alright, these Outriders rallied, and they should... Yep, they can outrun that Chaos Sorcerer of Metal, and it has support coming to help it. So they shouldn't rout off again, and their ammo will be well needed. As the balance of power doesn't give them credit, but I think if there was no Outrider ammunition, this Chaos Force could win in the melee. They do have a lot of bump and grind power left to them. And Archaon is very dangerous. Though full health Volkmar the Grim is nothing to sneeze at either, I suppose. Gonna hit fast forward a little bit as the characters jockey. And it looks like... get out of the way. Out of ammo Outriders charging in with Volkmar, and he's probably going to cast Soulfire Bombardment on himself, as is his birthright. But a Burning Head come through here might be enough to break off these Outriders because of the damage, but also Burning Head gives a leadership debuff. But the Chaos forces are in mass exodus, and I think army loss is going to hit them pretty soon, as this Chaos Sorcerer of Metal just watches Archaon fight on alone. And the Ever-Chosen will not succeed this time. He will have to come back near Game 3. Well played to Felix. Well played to Rocket as well. It was actually very close. When I play Chaos into Empire builds like this, I lose in much less spectacular of fashions. Though I like to bring Kolek, and he is a big target. Outriders actually struggling to pay for themselves sometimes. These two did quite well. Griffites did great. Archaon did work. Exalted Hero and the Metalcaster had some troubles. Chaos Marauders paid for themselves for large part. Forsaken did pretty well. Well, two of them did pretty well. Marauder Horsemen paid for themselves. Dogs did fine. And the Chosen with Great Weapons actually did a lot. Good for them. Proud of you guys. Alright. I don't think Felix is here, so I'll just have to guess. What color should we do for Felix? We will do pink. We will do pink. It'll be great. Oh wait, it's Rocket. Well, Rocket gets pink. Rocket has been eliminated, and Archaon is gone. So next we have Blood Penguin on King Lewin Leoncoeur versus Papa Palpatine on Kolek Suneater. And Papa Palpatine is an absolutely excellent player, and I do not envy Blood Penguin having to fight. Also, hi Felix. If you're the Felix I think you are, then I will need your favorite color if you ever lose. Friend and countryman. Alright. So we have Papa Palpatine versus Blood Penguin. Bretonnia versus Chaos. Chaos, we have Chaos Knights with lances, Marauders, Chaos Warriors with halberds, some Forsaken, more Marauders, more halberds. So it looks like those three infantry types just changing off. And it was interesting to see Chaos Knights with lances. Normally you don't see Chaos taking any part in the cav fight in this matchup. Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes will do great versus Bretonnian Knights. There's two groups of them, and Kolek Suneater is the Lord. He will be quite good against a lot of the Bretonnian characters, but I believe I saw that Lewin was flying, so Lewin can opt into his own engages. Oh, also there's Weird Spawn. Freaking Weird Spawn. Bretonnian Force, you have a crap ton of peasants, mix of peasant mobs and spearmen at arms, it looks like. Are these battle pilgrims? No, men at arms. Lame. Oh, you don't see the game. Well, that's a problem. How about now? I'll check my stream. All right, sorry. I was distracted. You can see it now. So just trust me that everything I said was true. There's a bunch of Forsaken, Chaos Warriors with halberds, Weird Spawn, other stuff. And Kolek Suneater, being a good boy. And over here we have a crap ton of peasants, men-at-arms, spearmen, basic peasant mobs, peasant bowmen, some of poison, some of not. And I believe it was 4 questing knights. 4 questing knights. Lewin, Lifecaster, and that's it. Alright, that's it. No go trek. Alright, Lewin tried to get some freebies on the Forsaken, but now it just doesn't feel like taking off. He's just going for a stroll, walking calmly back to his own line. And he's getting hit a bunch. Though the Chaos Knights that followed him in are also having a bad time, a much worse time than Lewin. It was all a bait. He didn't want to take off. He didn't want to discourage them. So the Chaos Knights with lances are already at half health, a terrible loss for them, as the companions of Quinel's and Lewin just put the hurt down on him. Now Kolek's getting surrounded, but he doesn't seem to mind. He isn't taking any damage. And he's got the Weird Spawn to back him up now. Chaos Warriors with halberds and Chaos Marauders teaming up on this poor peasant mob. You definitely need both of them to take them out. And Blood Penguin's front line is collapsing quite quickly as a very aggressive play from Papa Palpatine, throwing his Marauder Horsemen and throwing axes in to stop some of the peasant archers, but they do get in there, so they do fine. These Chaos Knights with lances are already about to break, but as the Bretonnian plight always is, the peasant front line is just not holding, and Lewin is already down to half health. He has healing in the back pocket with his caster, but Still, that's a lot of his healing cap already gone, and these questing knights have been left for dead to save their lord. Now, the Companions of Quenelles are pulling out, and they can probably get a regrowth or a couple healing spells here or there and get these elite knights back into the game. Now, it looks like from Blood Penguin's view that there's just too much going on. He's getting attacked on too many sides, and he doesn't really have anywhere to pull back to, because now his backfield is taken over by these throwing axe horsemen. If he sends any of his elite knights back there, I don't believe questing knights are even shielded, so they're just going to take the... Hey, thank you. Sorry, I just saw Dustin Padilla. Thanks, man. Yeah, but with the throwing axes in the backfield, it's not like he can even send knights to clear this out, because they're the perfect target for those. So he's really in a pickle, and Lewin is stuck in the middle of halberds and Kolek on his tail. He's got to get out of there, and he pushes right through his own peasants, but so does Kolek. Kolek's not stopping. He is going to harass Lewin whenever he hits the ground. The Chaos frontline is enormously winning at this point, pushing right in, and the archers have very little room with which to work. Lewin's back in the sky, but his healing cap's already in sight, and his leadership is faltering. Kolek is full health. He doesn't give a single crap about what's been going on. Now we have some Wood Elf archers hidden in the trees, doing their best to cosplay that, and Marauder horsemen using their throwing axes on peasant mobs. Yes, Biblington, I did a Hotline League call-in. I was talking to Jensen, I believe, last night. It was good shit. I didn't even know you watched that show. It's a good show. It looks like we have a Dwellers Below coming in, which would be a really nice cast. Might even get Bretonia back in this game, as 2 units of Chaos Warriors with halberds are stuck in it, as well as Forsaken, getting massive damage in, and Lewin charging in just to muck up the escape. His mass and terror providing quite the work in here. And he breaks off 2 units, almost fully killing them. I don't think they'll be back. That's a really good play from Blood Penguin in a bad situation. Really scrapping back. But Lewin, the real problem is I don't see anything here that can take out Kolek, because at the start of the game, the Companions of Quenelles, the best questing knights this guy has, and Lewin were on top of Kolek, and he took 0 damage. And now you have a super wounded Lewin, who's exhausted, probably. He's only tired, actually. And the Companions of Quenelles, if they're alive, cannot be having a great day. So I don't think there's enough stopping power to take out Kolek. I think Kolek could finish this game. And Lewin's on the ground again, just trying to help his men, but Kolek is just following him. And oh my god, he does so much damage. 3,600 value already on Kolek, and he's chasing Lewin again, who's trying to get back in the sky. Questing Knights charging after Kolek, just trying to slow him down and give their king some time to get out of here. On the far side, there are some peasants that could be rallied, but there are also some decently elite Chaos troops that could rally, so that is a moot point. In the backfield, we have more peasants coming to try and help, but there's a full unit of Chaos Warriors with halberds. There's the 2/3 unit of Marauder horsemen, and I think the balance of power is being a little generous to Bretonia at this point. Now, Kolek in the woods has taken some damage as he's surrounded by questing knights and Lewin, but Lewin took more damage, and Kolek had plenty of health to spare. The king has fallen, the king is dead, all hail the new king, and that king is Chaos, I believe. I believe. There's one weird spawn left. He's just getting in there. Fighting this damsel. Oh, and there's a... Oh lordy. Kolek is riding the weird spawn into battle. But that'll be that. Good game by Blood Penguin. Did a lot better than I would have versus Papa Palpatine. Certainly a fearsome opponent. Has won many tournaments. And I think for playing, I hadn't actually talked to him too much. I just saw him on Intisty Ladder. And I thought he was a pretty good player. So I asked him what he played. He said Bretonia, and we invited him. So good dude. Hope to see him around in more tournaments. All right. So back to the scoreboard. Blood Penguin has blood in his name, so we'll go with red. Deep red. Ciao. Whoa. Oh, I need the paintbrush. Give me the paintbrush. There we go. Oops. Kind of crossed out logic a little bit there, but he'll be okay. The dwarves are used to the little Bretonian blood on them. And now we will go back to the game. And we have Logic on the Dwarves versus Butcherbird 9 on the Beastmen. With, I believe it's Ungrim Iron Fist versus Malagor the Dark Omen. Yeah, Deadly Bunnies, I caught that too. I didn't want to say anything. All right, I think I remembered to do the screen blocker right this time. Maybe. Nope, I didn't. All right. This is why we check. All right. Well, you guys catch up on the stream delay. We should be back in game now. So it looks like Logic has 3 gyrocopters, all with brimstone guns. 5 miners with blasting charges, some dwarf warriors, a couple slayers, a single cannon to force people up, 2 quarrelers, 2 master engineers, and Ungrim Iron Fist. So this is just a dwarf bodies build. It's just betting that the beastmen don't have enough crowd clearing to deal with you. And the gyrocopters are immediately taking an aggressive stance. Now, for Butcherbird, we have Blackhorns, Ravagers, Goreherds with shields, Ungors, Yep, Ungors and Goreherd frontline intermixed. And in the forest, we have a massive pig corps. My lord. Razor Gore chariots, Razor Gore herds, a Gore bull. Is there another Gore bull somewhere? There's no way he came in here with just 1 Gore bull. You always have to bring 2. Well, he did. Heresy. Malgor the Dark Omen as your caster, another Gore herd just for some support, and the pigs will oink in the deep, as Turn would probably say. I don't know. I'm just a poser anyway. Ungor Raiders are firing off into gyrocopters, doing approximately 0 damage. If we round down, it's 0 damage. And gyrocopters have already routed off 1. Now Logic should probably take his gyrocopter and just make sure that gets off the map. I mean, it has full ammo, so most of its value is still yet to be accrued. But it looks like he's doing some other things. Cannons, what are the cannons aiming at? They're still shooting in this direction. Looks like they're just firing into some Ungors. Maybe you want to turn them and shoot them at the pig core, especially these chariots coming in. Yes, Felix. Butcherbird took a Gorble, because Gorble's sweet. Look at him. Look at him. Who wouldn't want to take him? He's badass. He's charging with some of his cousins. Some of his cousins who can't stand upright. These Dwarf Warriors are about to have a terrible day, as they have a giant pig charge coming right on. And they're cheering it on. They show no fear, the brave Dowie and the dead Dowie. So that's going to be really bad for them. Over here, a gyrocopter has taken a lot of damage from, it looks like, triple archer crossfire. Actually started to do some work on them, and I think the cannon may have been helping them out earlier. Yes, Deadly Bunnies, there are no harpies here that easily could have flown over the front line and harassed the gyrocopters, but that's not as many pigs, and you need all the pigs you can get. Butcherbird is a farmer at heart. You don't farm harpies. That's NSFW content right there. Alright, there's a fire ring of Thori, which is pretty much scab scrape coming down this gore herd, and the pigs are pulling back. They have almost killed a dwarf warrior, and they did half health to another one. It's a pretty good charge off, right? But they abandoned Gorble! No! I will name you Stephen, and you will be mighty. Stephen is fighting Ungrim Iron Fist, and that's a bad fight for Stephen. Stephen needs to run. Malagor's piling in, but Stephen already left. No, it's disjointed. Ooh, a nice brace screen coming in, and that was great damage. Excellent damage on the Dwarf Warriors and the Slayers. The big core moves over here and is charging some miners with blasting charges. It looks like there are some Beastmen forces in the backfield that need to be rallied, but otherwise it's going pretty well. Stephen and Malagor just regrouping, trying to decide what to do as these pigs run away. But the Beastmen have a nice big blob here of armor-piercing madness that's gotten through the front line. They should probably keep running through, get on top of these Quarrelers as they're doing, get on top of the cannon, stop them. What's happening on this far side? Blackhorns Ravagers are fighting some miners with blasting charges as an Ungor herd routes off. Oh, Hank Cyrus. Ungor Raiders... Fire. What are you firing at? One's kind of firing at this, the other 2 are trying to figure out what they should be shooting at, but they should be shooting something. And Gorble getting in here on top of this Master Engineer who does not want to take this fight. He's trying to put on a courageous face, but that doesn't look like a winning proposition. And then the flank comes in, and Gorble is now surrounded and getting shot. He is having a very bad time. Malagor is also having a bad time getting shot at by these brimstone guns, but thankfully for the Beastmen, they are running out of ammo. Yes, they're running out of damage. I guess that's true. And overall, I honestly don't know what to make of this battle. The Beastmen are having a tough time. A lot of their pigs are quite damaged. Their leadership's quite low, but they do have 3 chariots left. And some pigs left. Good health archers. The dwarves also don't have a lot left besides the gyrocopters and their heroes, so it's really hard to tell the balance of power on this one. And it looks like it's near the center, closer to the Beastmen. So Gorble, he is done fighting Ungrim Iron Fist for the day. If he meets him again, I think he will die. So he needs to run away. These pigs are rallying. Archers are just shooting up into the brimstone guns, trying to rescue the dead man, but he is dead, as is why his name is Deadman. Some gore herds, but the Dowie line has been entirely compromised. All the Quarrelers are shut down, all the cannons are shut down. There's nothing left for them here. So now it's just a melee brawl. And I think it's going to come down to if Butcherbird can properly micro these 3 Razor Gore Chariots, they can carry the game for him. And if he messes up, he loses. I think it's as simple as that at this point. Because Beastman Chaff doesn't have a lot left. The Archers, I mean, they have good ammo, but just not a lot of stopping power. They're slowly whittling down these Brimstone guns, but that's not going to take care of Ungrim. That's not going to take care of the Master Engineers, etc. But so far, Butcherbird's doing exactly what I just said, and he is microwing those Razor Gore Chariots quite effectively. Gorbel rallied. Welcome back, Stephen. Don't break again, please. Some pigs have rallied. I would just leave them in the forest for a little bit, let them regain some vigor, as that'll give them some leadership, as these Razor Gore Chariots are doing the work of the gods, the Dark Gods to be specific. And these Midas Blast charges on the far side have finally crumpled. So does Logic even have any frontline left? Very Haggard Dwarf Warriors, very Haggard Dwarf Warriors. Not really. So he's pretty much just relying on his Gyrocopters and Heroes. That is it. And Ungrim can do work, but he's no Grom Brindle. So I don't think he can kill this many things. I would slightly give it to the Beastman, but Beastman leadership is a terrible, terrible thing. And Gorbel's running again. Alright. Yeah, if Gorbel runs again, he'll be shattered. And if he shatters, they might lose just because of the leadership debuffs being too much for them. These Razor Gore Chariots still charging in. And we're going to get a little bit of cycle charging here, so I'm going to hit fast forward quick. There we go. Razor Gore's piling in, getting stuck on each other, mostly not getting attacks off. Quite unfortunate for them. And Ungrim is getting poked at by these tiny, tiny arrows. Nice fire ring of Thori going through, doing a ton of damage. And Logic's really scrapped back after losing most of his front line. Ungrim's fighting and fighting, though I did forget the Master Engineers are not unbreakable. They're not Gotrek and Felix, so that will be a problem. And his Gyrocopters are officially out of ammunition, meaning the only thing that can do damage to these Razor Gore Chariots is Ungrim Iron Fist himself. Hi, Grom Brindle. Good to see you. I believe your game is next, maybe, possibly? Yeah, it's next. Master Engineers, their leadership is breaking even though they have half health, and if they actually do start running, the Beastmen will most certainly run them down, as they have more people and faster people. But the Master Engineers rallied, which is good for them. These Gyrocopters are just trying to get involved in some form of melee combat, help out where they can, and these guys are avoiding poor Ungrim, who has just been following them around all game. Does he even have good value? Nope. We're apparently still focused on Gorbel, who's somewhere behind me. Archer's still firing in, surprised they still have ammo. They're applying a leadership debuff for taking missile fire on these guys, and they do not like that at all. And I cannot believe they're not going to break. Can they rally? He's been negative for so long. Oh my god, and they rally. Oh, poor Butcherbird as he tries to get these stunties off the map. Just wants them to break. That one finally goes, and I think with his friend routing, he will also run. And if they do, that'll leave just poor Ungrim on his own, as miners are worthless. Gyrocopters without any ammo are also quite worthless. A little bit of fast forwarding, just because I believe these guys are going to get chased off, as they are. Ungrim's going to be piled in a bunch of bodies that can't really do too much to him, but that doesn't matter as much. Gyrocopters, Brimstone guns, charging some archers, finally taking them out, but their arrows don't matter as much anymore. Army losses kicks in, and Ungrim versus the world. I think the world is a little too heavy for our tiny Atlas. I believe he will be cycle charged to his doom. And Steven's back! Steven! How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Cycle charging, the poor dwarven ending. I have been at this place many a time. Feels good. And he is down with Butcherbird advancing. We need a color for Logic. Chat, go! As I pull up Les Scorbird. Moo indeed, Hank Cyrus. Moo indeed. So we need a color to X out Logic. I'm thinking yellow. How do we feel about yellow, chat? Yellow? Alright. Cyrus agrees. Yellow. Let's go with kind of a gold. A dwarven gold. Delectable. Alright. Paintbrush. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Alright. Order's looking like they're in trouble. Chaos is 3-1 here. And we get a turtle move tool for some reason. Anyway. So far, Felix has been the only winner for Order, and they might get down to just Volkmar the Grim versus 4 dangerous opponents. Unless Son of the Mountain Grombrindle has anything to say about it. And he is quite the scary player. Grombrindle, I don't know if I've ever beaten you. I'm trying to think. We've played a few times. Anyway. We have Valkanos playing on Norska as Wulfric the Wanderer against Chad Thorgrim, who is Grombrindle, not playing Grombrindle because I asked him nicely to play Thorgrim, and he said sure. So we get a little bit of the High King action. We chose the chill flow, Thorgrim going north to try to reclaim, is it Carrick Izor? Carrick Bufdar? What's the really far northern one that always falls at the start of the campaign? I don't know, but that's not important because that's not what we're doing here. All right, so for Grombrindle and the second to last Order player still standing, we have Miners with Blasting Charges, Dwarf Warriors, some Handgunners, well, Thunderers, sorry, Lothar's Raiders, Longbeards in the back, probably trying to protect them from Burning Heads or Sea Fangs, Longbeards, Ironbreakers, Dragonback Slayers, Cannons. Beefy, very beefy, very melee-focused Dwarf army. Oh, it is Crackadrak, you're right, Cyrus. And for Valkanos, we have Chariot Wulfric, a Familiar Balefiend of Shadows with Pendulum and Enfeebling Foe, I believe. What are you? Yep, Enfeebling Foe. I imagine those are Throwing Axes. Marauder Horsemen with Throwing Axes, Marauder Horse Masters. It's pretty good. A lot of Skirmish Cav. And then we have some Marauder Hunters with the axes and some Marauder Hunters with the javelins. I wonder why he did a mix. Actually, I'm not sure. I like to take a lot of the Marauder Hunters here, the ones with the throwing axes. But I don't know why the javelins are here. Maybe for gyrocopters. Maybe. Then we have some basic Marauders in the front line, Marauders with great weapons on the sides. And I'm a little worried about Valkanos' staying power. A ton of ranged fire, that's to be sure. But once the fighting gets into the thick of it, I mean, all he actually has, if I'm not delusional, is just 4 regular Marauders. Yeah, everybody else left to die to range. Interesting. Wulfric's going to have to do some hard carrying here. So, the Dwarves are in a nice defensive position, firing off their cannons into whatever they can hit. Some Marauder Hunters, some other Marauder Hunters. But I think they're mostly just waiting for Wulfric to get over the hill so they can tee off into him. And Thorgrim waits, book open, pen ready to write down some more grudges. Maybe he has Wulfric already in there for some reason. Maybe Wulfric came south once and pissed him off. The world may never know. I'm going to take a drink of water. Felix, take over. Alright, apparently Felix didn't take over. I guess I'll do my job. Thunder is just getting off their first volleys into the Marauder Hunters, and I believe they have a longer range. 80, 145? Yeah. So the Thunderers are going to be able to zone out all of the Norscan counter-skirmish quite well. And they can't take the frontline fight straight up and win it. Norska's going to have a really rough time, I think. And some cannonballs ripping up into Wulfric. He can try to block him with his tiny shield, but I don't think that'll do him much good. Might knock him off of his chariot. Throwing axes getting on the side, and a nice pendulum cast. Ooh, just destroying those Thunderers. Very, very nice by Valkanos. Lined it up perfectly. Here we have some throwing axes trying to trade with the Longbeards in the back, but again, Thunderers are just shooting into them. And this is tricky. This is tricky because Norska wants to be kiting, but they're outranged, so they have to opt into getting shot, and it's just not looking amazing for them at the moment. But they are pulling the Dwarven box apart. Maybe they can squeeze some things in here and charge onto the Thunderers. Wulfric's going to have to start cycle charging, especially into Miners with blasting charges. Distract him a little bit so his Marauders can get stuck in. But it looks like a lot of poking and prodding from the Norskins, doing their best to break through Dowie's steel, which is a tough task. Oh, there's one unit of Marauders with great weapons. I was wrong, guys. I was wrong. Norse have got this. Those single Marauders are going to carry. All right. Wulfric charging through some Dwarf Warriors, getting a little trapped up and shot in the butt. Dragonback Slayers charging up to him, and he is trying to run over one specific Dwarf and can't get out of there. Chariots, am I right? A cannonball takes out some Dwarf Warriors, some Thunderers, but it also hits Wulfric in the bum, doing good damage. Grombrindle with a nice attempted dodge there, but he did not quite get out, and he took a ton of damage for his effort. And a good Sea Fang coming down, but the Nordling's Ironbreakers do not give a single shit. They couldn't care less what just happened to them there. Familiar Balefiend of Shadow taking a bunch of minor and blasting charges to the face. It looks like they did okay damage, but, you know, maybe not the best use of the blasting charges for that one. And the Marauder Horsemen just trying to figure out what's going on over here. The Thunderers are out of position. Maybe they could charge in and get into melee with them, but Thunderers, since they are dwarves, they do have 80 armor and would not die very quickly, even in melee. So the balance of power is pretty even, but I think the Norskins have been having a really tough go of it. They just are having so much trouble getting through this front line, and so much of their army is skirmish focused that if there's any slip-ups like that one, they're getting precious units involved in melee combat they don't want to be in. This is a very tough time, but Valkanos did tell me in a chat that he hates this matchup versus the dwarves, so maybe he was trying something a little bit different just to throw it at the wall. Norska certainly has a lot of troublesome matchups these days. I would actually say they're worse than the Beastmen. Some people would disagree with me on that, but I don't know. I think the Beastmen have some better matchups. Like as Skaven, I fear more Beastmen players than I do Norskin players, though both suck for Skaven. Over here, the Familiar Balefiend is fighting with some Marauders to try to get these Dwarf Warriors off of the Marauder Hunters so they can start throwing again. And Valkanos has successfully pulled the Dwarven lines apart. He's backing up, and throwing. And he's getting some good damage in. Now, what I worry is that leaves the cannons exposed, and maybe some of these Marauder Horsemen could be flying in here and disrupting these things. But if they do that, I mean, they are going to be surrounded by Slayers, Iron Breakers, Thunderers, so it's a bit of a bear trap in itself, I suppose. Vincent Genelis? I don't know how to say that. Norsca and Tomb Kings are the weakest right now, even though people tend to say it's Dark Elves and Beastmen. Yeah, I've been playing some Dark Elves recently, and they feel fun. I mean, you definitely feel their weaknesses, but it's not all weaknesses. Some of their stuff's pretty good. Seafang going a little bit off kilter there, trying to get the Warriors of Dragonfire past, but he didn't want to nuke his own Marauder Hunters with Javelins. So he's doing what he can. Marauder Horsemasters chasing off some Dwarf Warriors. They should probably shatter soon. All in all, I've been saying it the whole game, I think the Dwarves have got this, but every time I say that, there is one less frontline unit as they are getting kited and pulled apart. These miners are having a bad time. Everybody's having a bad time. And Thorgrim is fighting the Familiar the Tongue Twister unit, and that explains it. I was wondering how he was getting worked on so hard by this guy, but it's that he's taking a bunch of axes to the face while he's doing it. Where's Wolfric? What's he been doing while I've been distracted and being an idiot? Full health unit of Marauder Horsemen over there throwing axes. Did Wolfric die? He better not have. I think I missed it. I think Wolfric died, guys. Rip. Poor guy. Probably got shot by the cannon a bunch and the Dragonback Slayers. Some more skirmish elements for the Norskins are rallying, and I'm wondering if we look around here. There's one melee unit, two. Norskins only have 2 melee units left. Everything else is a skirmisher. And I think that these Norgrim League's Iron Breakers, if it all comes down to a melee scrap, I think they can kill everything left here. So that's going to be problematic for Valkanos. But he is trying to stay on top of Thorgrim Grungebear, trying to take him out. But an Oath of Vengeance coming down, bringing this Familiar Balefiend down to 16 melee defense. He's got to get out of there. That is not good. 61 melee attack. He's going to hit most of the time he slaps that fool. Althar's Raiders close by. Maybe they want to turn and burn, shoot this Familiar Balefiend, take out the last leadership of the Norskins. But already it's just looking like the Dowie Steel has repulsed them, as they're getting pushed back on every front, and they're running out of ammunition. Thorgrim did take a lot of damage, but now the Balefiend's getting it in return. Though he's held up surprisingly well in this fight, honestly, especially because his stats are so terrible with the Oath of Vengeance. Dwarves pushing back. The balance of power is finally showing what we all, well, I believed, that the Norskins are in some real trouble, and army losses is kicking in. Well played by both players. A very interesting build from Valkanos. He's a better Norskin player than me, so I should just shut my mouth, but I'm not going to. So, what to do. I would cut one of the Hunters, both of the Javelins, and both of the Marauder throwing axes, Horsemen throwing axes, and get maybe some Berserkers, maybe some Skinwolves. Just more meat, or frontline, because only 5 units of generally chaff frontline is going to be tough. But, I mean, Valk played well. He did end up getting it to be a valiant defeat, and if I, If I had been playing this, it probably would have been much worse. But Thorgrim is an exceptional player, so I shouldn't focus so much on Valk. He had really good micro, dealt with everything he needed to. Anybody that could have gotten in the cookie jar was pushed off by Dragonback Slayers or the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. It's well played by both players. And we need a color for Valkanos. Color. All right. I'll wait for color in chat while I read this. Biblington saying, I think the whole who is worst debate is a bit about your own play style plus your playing level. Deadly Bunny saying, well, the worst is such a stupid way to think. It's often just matchup balance. It's infection. You know what, Deadly Bunnies? I disagree. I think the superior way to think is that whatever faction you're currently playing is always the weakest. And that way, when you lose, you're just playing a worse faction. That's all it is. So that way, you never feel bad about losing ever. This advice brought to you by Xbox Live Chat. Xbox Live. Get yelled at by a 12-year-old. On the scoreboard, Valkanos is out. So, going into round 2, we have Felix on Volkmar the Grim and Grombrindle on Thorgrim Grudgebearer. Humans and dwarves standing side by side against Kazric One-Eye with Deadly Bunnies, Papa Palpatine on Kolek Suneater, and Butcherbird with Malgor the Dark Omen. So the Beastmen are 2-0. Who's a bad faction now, Bretonia? You 0-1 pansies? No, Blood Penguin played well. I shouldn't be a dick. But I'm gonna be one anyway. Alright. So we are loading up. That's not the right replay. What? I did a dumb. And this time I know you're not seeing what I'm seeing, but that's because I didn't want to spoil certain things for you, and I had to check if this is the right replay. So I'm looking for Felix versus Deadly Bunnies. And that's not game 6. Portuguese 16. This one. It's game 7. All right. I will now let you see what I see. So we have Deadly Bunnies back again with Kazric One-Eye against RTK Felix on Volkmar the Grim. And from this screen, I think there's a bit of a Lord sniping build going on from Felix, because with the Light Wizard and the Bright Wizard, that's usually a net and fireball double blast combo. Oh, but they're not flying. Usually when he does this, they're flying. Burning Head and net. Still a decent amount of sniping to take out Kazric if he ever goes in. Otherwise, we have Volkmar. We have 2 units of Great Swords, which are excellent here. I take a lot of Great Swords in my build. Spearman with shield, Spearman all around, a bunch of Halberdiers, 3 Huntsmen. Felix, did you steal my build? Felix, this is startlingly close to my build. I have 1 less Huntsman and no Empire Knights, but yeah, just the Elite Infantry box is what I like to take versus Beastmen. Anyway, that aside, for Deadly Bunnies, we have Ungor Herds performing a very nice surround, Centaurs with throwing axes, Centaurs with great weapons, along with the Sons of Goros. Man, Deadly Bunnies, you really like the Sons of Goros, don't you? Ungor Herd, some nice pig herds, Kazric, and a Gorbel. Yes, another Gorbel! You'll love to see it! Prey Shaman of Wilds with some spells I don't care about. Apparently one of them is Viletide. Razor Gore Herds, Razor Gore Herds, Razor Gore Herds. Huh. I'd be curious to know about the Razor Gore Herds versus Empire. Is it because you expected Greatswords or what? Because normally they're infantry. I don't know. Did they do okay against Empire Knights? If you care for the answer to that question, watch the chat. I'm sure Deadly Bunnies will tell you why he took Razor Gores, but an interesting pick into Empire. I wouldn't have expected that. Greatsword's trying to push off these units, but they're not catching them, so they're starting to pull back, and now they're getting rear charged by the Razor Gores, which is great for them. The Huntsmen, I don't know why they're not firing. They should have pretty good arcs of fire at this point. But these ones finally teeing off into some Ungor herds, and it looks like they're just going to try to break off the Beastmen that are here. Nice Viletide coming down, and the Hero Squad is getting a side charge on some Halberdiers. Very nicely done. A bit of an awkward charge, and now the Bray Shaman of Wilds is just stuck up as these Men of the Empire come to poke him. Centaurs are throwing axes, throwing into these Halberdiers, doing a good amount of work on them as well. And the Sons of Goros, these Centaurs and Pig Cav are just waiting, biding their time. Gorbel's casually walking through a bunch. They don't even care! Deadly Bunnies doesn't even care these spearmen are here. He's just walking through them. He just is ignoring him entirely. That's pretty hilarious. Alright, so Gorbel and Kazrak pile right onto Volkmar the Grim, and they're doing a lot of damage, actually. And now he's surrounded by Pig Cav. I imagine we'll see a Soulfire Bombardment coming in, and it'll do decent damage, but I do think he'll be quite trapped up. Centaurs with throwing axes, throwing these unshielded halberdiers, doing a lot of damage. And there's a big old flaming skull ripping through these Ungors, and they get quite scared, turning and running. Bray Shaman of Wilds is sticking in there, running through these Huntsmen. And Deadly Bunny's using him more aggressively than I've seen any other Beastman player use their caster. He actually uses his chariot like a chariot, not just protecting him in the back. Very nice play by him. And this whole Empire area is shattering already. And 2 of the 3 Huntsmen are entirely offline and getting chased by these pigs, which are full health. They're not going to break. Nothing's going to happen to them. So they're going to run those guys straight off the map. And this is looking tough for Felix. His Empire box has fully collapsed. And at this point, it is one little pocket trying to defend these Huntsmen and some elite infantry, while Volkmar is trying to scoot his way right back to safety. Yep, he's abandoning all these guys for dead, as he should. Classic Empire, abandoning your friends, leave all men behind. This Bright Wizard is getting chased off by the Bray Shaman of Wild, who's just rolling dirty this game. I'd actually like to see his value after the game. Sons of Goros slaughtering some Empire Knights with their magic damage, cutting straight through the Empire's superior armor. And Kazrak is now going to abandon Stephen II, who is netted and surrounded by halberdiers. Spearman shields over here. Let's take stock of what the Empire has left. Nothing. Got it. A low health Volkmar, a couple wounded halberdiers, 1 full health unit of greatswords, some huntsmen that are way too close to do anything about anything, and a light wizard with a net. Another good Viletide? Brace Screen? Viletide. Viletide coming in, and some greatswords fighting in the trees. For the Beastmen, a lot of pigs. Stephen II. Kazrak One Eye, Bray Shaman of Wilds, some Centaurs that still have axes, and some Centaurs with great weapons. Beastmen are in a really good position right now, and Felix is just trying to blob up, trying to keep everybody within Volkmar's auras and keep their leadership stable, because he knows if anything breaks, it is gone for good. Deadly Bunny is collapsing in on every side, casting plenty of spells, doing lots of damage, and now the cowardly Sons of the Empire are running. If only you had proper Skaven infantry, Felix. They would stand and fight, but he doesn't. And even the greatswords are breaking. That's kind of surprising. Their leadership's at 0, so I guess it was very close. Volkmar's doing his best to fight and carry, but I don't think he could deal with all of this. I mean, Stephen II could maybe even take him out, give him a run for his money. And Kazrak One Eye, carrying this tournament, man. Deadly Bunny's in the chat saying Gorbals with them god animations just juking missiles all day. Hell yeah. And that is a Pyrrhic victory for the Beastmen. Very well played by both players. And yeah. Alright. Did he... The Wild Chariot probably did the most damage on this roster. Deadly Bunnies, I didn't know you could take the Bray Shaman Lords these days. Doesn't even need Kazrak. Though Kazrak did well. I mean, 13-13 is not bad at all. Let's check the other side. Volkmar, ton of value on him. Netcaster's not going to get value because nets are nets. They don't do damage, and damage is what counts towards the value. Sigmar's Sons and Greatswords doing okay, but having a really tough time. Huntsman doing well enough, but yeah. They just had a hard time seeing and shooting anything. The Beastmen came right up through the trees, and they were super mobile, kept rotating and rotating, and the Huntsman couldn't keep up with them. That was very well played by both players. I like that a lot. And as I mentioned, Felix's build is very close to mine, so now I'm a little alarmed. Alright. Now Felix was here, and he told me what color he wanted. Check your stream. Nope. He didn't tell me what color he wanted, so we need to give Felix something terrible. Lime green. Lime green for the Felix. Wah. Alright, where's my paintbrush? And it is down to Grombrindle, son of the mountain Grombrindle, Thorgrim Grudgebearer versus 3 deadly, fierce chaos opponents. Deadly Bunnies on Kazrak One Eye, Pop Palpatine and Kolak Sun Eater, and Butcherbird, Malagor Dark Omen. And I wasn't doing this... Hey, Butcherbird. I wasn't doing this for dramatic effect. This is literally the order the games were played out. So Grombrindle, at one point, was staring down 3 chaos players. Poor guy. All right. So we'll get into the game with Palpatine versus Grombrindle, because we didn't want to make Deadly Bunnies just go twice in a row. We wanted to give as many people chances to play as we could. Loading into the game. We know there's going to be a Kolek. We know there's going to be a Thorgrim. Otherwise, no idea. So Palpatine brought the Soul of Damnation and another Hell Cannon. Double Hell Cannon to take out those elite Dowie infantry. Every shot is a good shot. Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. Some other basic Chaos Marauders. Kolek. And then up in the sky, a Chaos Sorcerer of Fire with the Flamestorm and Fireball. And here we have Dwarf Warriors, great weapons, Dwarf Warriors, Dwarf Warriors, Dwarf Warriors. And I'm back. I think I see double hammerers, triple hammers. Chad Thorgrim bringing the Chad build. When did Bunnies play his game? About an hour ago. About an hour ago. All right. Couple Thunders to keep fighting Dragonback Slayers because they're just perfect, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer himself. Over here we have some Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, just charging straight at these Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, taking a ton of damage because they're unshielded. Yes, Deadly Bunnies did just play. I talked to them and made sure they would be done before my stream, because otherwise that would be awkward if we had to do the finals in a good time. Thunderers teeing off into some Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, just trying to push them off of the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. But you can see that the shielded units take that much damage, and the unshielded units take that much damage. Shields, kids. Get them between your face and the throwing axes. Oh, those poor Dwarf Warriors. They're having a bad time. Chaos Warriors, the great weapons charging these Dwarf Warriors, and they're going to do a ton of work. If Thorgrim's going to win this, his hammers have just got to slaughter the front line, because otherwise, I mean, he's already got one Thunderer routed. One Thunderer's missing a quarter of its health, the other one's missing about a third. These Hell Cannons are just teeing off. Like, if he doesn't win the front line, he's not going to win. Kolek charging straight in and getting surrounded by Dragonback Slayers who are going to slow him down, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer. And with his melee defense lowered, he's only down to 22, and he's a big target. He's getting chopped down by a lot of dwarves. Chaos have no healing, so that's his health for the rest of the game, or lower. It can always go lower. Thunderers are going to try to push off these Marauder Horsemen again as the hammers push up, but these Chaos Marauders have already been destroyed. The Soul of Damnation's in real trouble, and Palpatine's not going to pull his Chaos Dwarfs off just yet. Oh, there he goes, he's running, but I think Chaos Dwarfs are even slower than regular Dwarfs, so they're not going to get anywhere. Minus with blasting charges, clearing out these Chaos Warriors with great weapons well, and the Hammerers are holding steady. They have a lot of health, and they're very elite. Thorgrim himself is trying to chase Kolek around, keep him off the Thunderers. That's going to be a hard task. Kolek's much faster than him. Here we have Warriors of Dragonfire Pass just being thrown to the wolves at this point, pushing these nice skirmish cav off of the hammers who are unshielded and worth a lot more money. So I believe that Thorgrim's just sacrificing the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass for the greater good. One Hell Cannon still online in the back, and these hammers are running straight at this Marauder Horseman throwing axes, but they can never catch them. I do think that they should just pursue the other Hell Cannon. You know, walk at what you can catch rather than running forever into perpetuity against the other one. Dragonback Slayers running over to stand next to these Thunderers just in case that Manticore gets a little feisty. Deadly Bunnies, yeah, I believe Hank Cyrus was also mentioning that you can't go backwards in the stream for some reason, but then afterwards I mean, I post the video and you can watch it when it's not live, but I don't know why you can't go backwards. That is odd. I'll have to look at it. YouTube has quite the learning curve. I'm trying to figure it out, and it is not intuitive, my friends. Warriors Dragonfire Pass still chasing off these Chaos Marauders, still taking a ton of throwing axes to the face, and not breaking just yet because they're proud sons of the Dowie. Kolek is just under half health, and there's some super wounded Thunderers poking him, but poke eventually adds up, and he will have a bad time. Thorgrim's running back to the Dragonback Slayers. The Dragonback Slayers are just salivating at the thought of getting to die to Kolek's Sun Eater. That'll get their name written into the Ancestor Halls. Might be a settings thing. Yeah, Weird Duck doesn't have a problem. Well, Duck's also a more experienced streamer and a better person and a better friend. I'm just a shitty human boy doing my best. Alright, back to the game. Thunderers are currently kind of mucked up in these Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, taking a bit of damage, but not a lot, and especially with these hammers here, it should be fine. Thunderers, what are they shooting at? Still shooting at the Chaos Sorcerer, still shooting at Kolek. This is still a pretty close game, actually. Balance of power is very indicative of how I feel about this. These Chaos Forces do need to be pulled back in, but the Dwarves are a little haggard. Oh, that Hell Cannon running out of ammo is going to be bad, though. That's going to be very bad. A full unit of Marauder Horsemen, but with no throwing axes means they're pretty much worthless. It's a tricky call for what Thorgrim should be doing here. He should group up in case, because these hammers right now could get surrounded on both sides by Chaos Warriors with great weapons and chopped to pieces. That would be a bad loss. But if he groups up, I mean, he is just a sitting duck for all the skirmish. Yeah, looking at the chat, some people are still talking about the rewind thing. I will probably investigate it by Googling it. Dustin Padilla breaking. It is, so if we zoom in on these Thunderers, their leadership, it'll show you their base value is 64, but they've sustained damage, so it gets lowered, and then like other things can help it or hurt it. So if you get attacked from behind, you take a larger leadership penalty than getting attacked straight on. And if something's leadership falls below 0 for, generally it's about like 2 or 3 seconds, then it'll break, because if it flashes negative, it doesn't always immediately run away. It kind of has to be negative for a little bit. But dwarves have high armor and high leadership, but they have no cavalry or anything like that, so they're just going to waddle at you with their high armor and never break, is pretty much their story. Thunderer's teeing off into the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, and I wonder where Kolek's gotten off to. Oh, he's just running around. He's trying to get to these Thunderers in the trees, but I think he should, yep. Pop Palpatine sees this, he's going to start running over here because he really needs to do some work before the rest of his forces are disintegrated. Now, Ekron's Miners and Dwarf Warriors have taken over the Hell Cannon position and shattered off these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. These hammers are broken. I don't think Chaos did anything in the area to make sure that they keep running. And I think the Dowie are going to pull this out. They have a decent amount of hammers left. They have Thorgrim at good health. They have some Thunders to force the engagement. Dragonback Slayers are going to be a real problem. Chaos is just running out of juice. And you're very welcome, Dustin. Ah, and these hammers have rallied. That's 15 more proud boys to come back and fight. They're going to fight to the end. This Hell Cannon has lost its crew. It is now just a screaming demon inside of a metal tube. These hammers get just slammed from behind by the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, and maybe they're going to break. If Thorgrim has his leadership buff, he might want to pop it. They're starting to rally. And the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes are having a bad time. Kolek is running in, but he's running straight into the Dragonback Slayers, and that is exactly who they want to fight. They are anti-large, slowing, and there's a lot of them. But he's going to play conservatively. He's not going to allow himself to get chased out in the middle of nowhere. He wants to protect the Thunderers. Thunderers are going to win him this game. Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, I've seen a few flame storms going on in the background, so I don't think he has a ton of Wind of Magic left. I don't think we'll be seeing any more potent spells from him, maybe a single fireball. We'll see. And Thorgrim ignoring the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire entirely and just walking at Kolek menacingly, writing in his book, pointing with his axe, and Kolek leaves. Kolek does not like getting pointed at with axes, apparently. Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, just munching, om-nomming on some poor hapless Thunderers, knocking them around. I'm surprised they haven't broken. Those are some stout dwarves. But Chaos is definitely in its last gasps of life here. They're running out of any support whatsoever, and soon it'll just be the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire and Kolek. And Kolek's trying again to duel with Thorgrim, but his leadership is too low, his melee defense is too low from the Oath of Vengeance, and that is gonna be it. So of the 3 people left to fight Thorgrim, he took out 1, 2 left. And Butcherbird got mad at me earlier because I said I wanted to go to a 1v1 at the end. So I kind of incidentally rooted against him, but that's my bad. So if we're looking, a lot of the dwarves paid for themselves. Ooh, except for those guys. That is a fat 0. All right. Dragonback Slayers didn't quite pay for themselves, but they had plenty of, they had plenty of health left. They had more love to give, per se. Hammers did fine. Ekron's Miners did great. Dwarf Warriors took a bunch of damage, as is their birthright. Thorgrim was a buff boss. So good for him. Kolek did okay. He didn't have a ton of great targets, but, Papa Palpatine was locked into Kolek from the start, so he wouldn't have picked this. He probably would have picked Sigvald if it was left up to him. Chaos Sorcerer of Fire did good work. Chaos Warriors with great weapons did fine. Hell Cannons, the non-Auror Hell Cannon did fine. Yeah. The Chaos Army in general did good. Nothing stood out, while the Dwarven Army, the Thunderers, carried pretty hard. So GG. GG. To the scoreboard. Photoshop. Papa Palpatine needs a color. Oh, we didn't kill off Deadly Bunnies? No. Wait. Oh yeah, Deadly Bunnies won. He's fine. He's fine. Whoops. Okay. We have red. We have green, blue, yellow, pink, black. I will check. Okay. YouTube doesn't have any inspiration for me just yet. We're going to go with orange. Pop Palpatine gets orange. Kolek Suneater is down. And with that, Chaos is trying to invade the world of mortal men with just the Beastmen. The true carries of Chaos. The goodest boys. We always knew it was true. We knew Beastmen were the real carries. On the other side, the dwarves and Thorgrim Grudgebearer stand alone to face the Beastmen tide. So, we have game 8 of Butcherbird versus Thorgrim Grudgebearer and Grumbrindle. That was smooth. That was a smooth sentence right there. Alright, boop. Loading into the game. We are on Eschen. So we tried to pick maps that were open enough for dwarves but had some woods for beastmen, but there's not a lot of those that don't feel too rigged. So I believe our last 2 games... What was the last map? What was the last one? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're here now. So, Grumbrindle bringing minus the blasting charges, always a good choice. Do a lot of damage. Some more hammerers, surprisingly enough. I thought that was just a chaos tech. 2 units of Thunderers, Thorgrim himself because he has to, and 2 units of Giant Slayers. A very interesting build. Very interesting. I don't see hammers that frequently, and we see them 2 games in a row now. And on the Butcherbird side, we have Gorbel, Malagor, and a crap ton of Harpies, the Pig Corps, the Barnyard Boys, the Farm Fam, pulling in with their armor-piercing pigs and pig chariots, and then a bunch of Ungors to die for the lady. The Beastman lady! Okay. Harpies flying in, playing a little conservatively, waiting for the Pig Corps to get up here on this hill, probably just going to get a nice downhill charge, which does give you some stat buff, so it's valuable. Harpies charging in, maybe a little prematurely, getting shot, which is, I mean, they're always going to get shot, but, you know, usually they'll tie up the Thunderers so something else can advance. They're not tying them up so they can win, and it looks like they are doing that now. So tying up the Thunderers so that while the pigs advance here, they will not get shot to pieces. A nice Bray Scream coming in just to disrupt the formation, and these Ekron Miners are about to get big value on these Ungor herds if they can throw, but it was a bit of a delayed throw and didn't get a ton of value off. Cannon firing in, doing a ton of work against that Razorgore chariot, but you can see here, just like Butcherbird tried to do against Logic, the Pig Cav all clump up on one location and just try to slam through it. Gorbel is trying to fight Thorgrim Grudgebearer, but Gorbel gets knocked over by Thorgrim. Works as intended. You love to see it. You love to see the like 800-pound cow get knocked over by a chair and a boy with a beard. Big Beastman Blob here trying to break through. Maybe want to pull whatever units aren't rampaging out and around and really abuse this pocket you formed. Because you already formed the pocket. You don't need to make more. You just need to push through it and start really getting on all the ranged pieces. Ungor Herd slapping the Dragonfire Pass Boys. And Malagor standing on a hill just trying to dodge cannon fire. And Gorbel's shattered. He's laying face down in the dirt. He is dead. Thorgrim Grudgebearer wasn't having any of that shit. Poor Steven. I think that's original Steven. Yeah, that's Butcherbird Steven. Aw, Steven. Steven died. Also what's sad about it is it means Thorgrim Grudgebearer is a better monster hunter than Ungrim Iron Fist, which Ungrim Iron Fist is supposed to be the Slayer King. So that sucks for him. Razorgore Chariot's rolling dirty, though. Those are doing quite well. Malagor's chilling in the back, casting spells, living his best life. Harpy's in the back. But I think the Dwarves are off to a very early lead on this one. Because while some of their range pieces are compromised, just so much of the front line has gone better for them, I think they'll be okay. Because as opposed to last time where the pigs just slammed through the front line and they had a ton of backline stuff to get onto and disrupt and kill, here Thorgrim's got 2 Hammerers running around. He's got 2 Giant Slayers running around. You know, he has a bunch of elite infantry in here, so he doesn't really care. In the cookie jar, there aren't cookies in the cookie jar. There's a bunch of piranha plants is pretty much what we're trying to get to here. Hammer's doing fine. I mean, they've taken a lot of damage, but they've dealt a lot of damage. Giant Slayer's running around with Thorgrim, and the Beastmen are putting on their best moves, their dancing moves, but I think they're running out of firepower here pretty bad. No Chaos Spawn summons from Morgur the Shadow Gave to carry them through this one. Some Razor Gore herds jumping in, trying to do their best, but I do believe it might be a foregone conclusion as we draw a big old Beastman. Sad face. I'm gonna slightly fast forward just because I don't think there's much left to this as the army losses come in. And Thorgrim, 3 men entered, 1 man remains as Thorgrim wipes the blood off his beard and gets ready for a final game. And ladies and gentlemen, if I did my math right, scoreboard, Photoshop. We are down to our last 2 contestants. All right, we used pink. We can't use pink again. Teal. Butcherbird gets teal. Deadly Bunnies, Grombrindle. This is it for all the marbles. And I don't think... I announced it at the start of the stream, but there's only like 1 person here. And you people are indicating you can't go back in time and watch. So the stakes for this... It is my fault, Butcherbird, I'm sorry. The stakes for this is just whichever team wins of the 2 5-mans get re-invited to fight the next round. So in that case, let's say if the good guys win, right? You have the Empire, Bretonia, and Dwarves. Good guy factions that are always under attack, always under siege. Now, if they beat off Chaos, they still have to fight their normal threats. The other team would this time be composed of Skaven, of Greenskins, of Vampire Counts, and I'll find players for that. And if you want to be one of those players, in my Discord, which I should have prepared, I'll put a link in the chat. In my Discord, there's a section called Faction Face-Off. If you put your main faction in there, and it's one of the factions I need, I will pull you for this next event, and you'll be on the next stream. So that's pretty exciting. So go there if you want to do that. Now I have to edit this invite link so I can help you find people. Never, max number of uses, no limit. Generate new link, copy, paste. All right, there's a Discord link in the YouTube chat. If you want to join, have some fun, join the Faction Face-Off, post your favorite faction. I'll pull you for this kind of thing. So we get to see which team will come back and face the next round of opponents, and that's what Deadly Bunnies and Grombrindle are fighting for in our final game. No matter what, they're what's left. And you might, if you've been paying attention, you might have seen Game 9 here before, so you might have already known this was coming because I'm an idiot and I didn't structure this well. But yeah, Game 9. Let's go. So we have PE Hydra, which is our own Deadly Bunnies, on Kazric One Eye. Who thought he would be the last one left? A Bray Shaman of something. We're back on Eshin just because the players knew that it was a good map, and they both agreed that it would be fair and balanced. We have 2 Razor Gore Chariots. Is there a third somewhere? Nope. Some Harpies, some Bestigors, nice Great Axe Infantry, Bray Shaman of Wilds, Kazric One Eye, some Ungor Raiders, and Gore Herds mixed with Ungor Herds. So a similar build. You can see that the Beastmen players agree on what is the best general thing to do against Dwarves. A lot of armor-piercing, fast-moving units. The Dwarves have the same build? Same build. 2 Giant Slayers, 2 Thunders, 2 Hammers, a bunch of miners with blast charges, some Dwarf Warriors, and the man, the myth, the legend, Thorgrim, Motherfudgin Grudgener. Alright, cannons blasting off again, firing into Bestigors. Oh, and I suppose I should be a little more user-friendly. If you haven't played a ton of Total War and you know what that is, Bestigors are these super elite cowboys. They have great axes. Ilmatar saying, I've seen this before. Is the Atrix matching? Acting up? Yes. Yes, the Matrix is acting quite improper. So Razorgore Chariots are trying to pile in, and now these Harpies are going to do what we said last game, and I believe they're just going to try to muck up the ranged forces as the front lines collapse, just so you don't take as much fire on the approach. Ungor Herde's a little out of position here, do got to run in. Now the Bestigors were positioned quite far back, but I believe that was to hide from the blasting charges. Blasting charges, even though they're not technically armor piercing, can do a lot of work on armored units. And Miners the Blasting Charges is such a cheap unit, it feels terrible to lose half health of an elite unit to them when they're crappy. Alright. Harpies are chilling just above. Believe they'll dive down when they need to support something, but for now they don't do very much damage, so there's no point committing them just to die. Razorgore Chariot sitting outside, just waiting to get in there as a nice brace screen comes down, but doesn't do very much damage because the dwarves are just too armored for that sort of thing. Harpies flying in. Kazrik's a little damaged, but he's doing okay. But Thorgrim's full health, as are his Hammer Core. Giant Slayers have been just getting worked on, I believe, by these archers this whole time, and that's going to be tough. So Chad Thorgrim off to a good start here, it looks like, but his lines are getting a little crumped. Harpies really disrupting these Thunderers and Cannons that would love to be firing in on these Razorgore Chariots right now. Just a nice downhill shot. Blasting Charges coming in, doing a lot of damage to the Harpies, but still not enough to push them off. Not just yet. Where do we have the Bestigors? Bestigors are here, half health, fighting against half health Hammerers, but they have Razorgores helping them as the Hammerers are alone. Kazrik and his Wilds caster just playing some tag. Just having a nice day. And Neckbet in the chat, I know I kind of glazed over it, but if the bad guys win, they will fight more good guys, and if the good guys win, they'll fight more bad guys. Just an FYI. I have some things set up, but after this game, we will find out who they'll be fighting anyway, so it doesn't matter. Whee! Harpy's going to probably chase off these Thunderers, because if a unit's routing, it cannot come back until it is a certain distance away from enemies. And these Thunderers are back online, though the cannon crew is over there. So yep, Deadly Bunnies has taken out almost all of the firepower of the dwarves, and now it's down to a melee grind. Which, they do have some elite units, that is true. The Bestigors are quite good. The Razorgore Chariots, as we've seen, the 3 different games, these Razorgore Chariots can really mess up a ton of Dwarven infantry. Giant Slayers are now fully dead, and this Ungor Herde is chasing off a group of Hammers and a group of Miners. That's a grudgeon. That's a grudgeon right there. Hammerers running away from some shit-covered goats. That's upsetting. Alright. Razorgore's coming in. They're going to run in these Miners with Blasting Charges, do a bunch of damage, and then pull out, as Chariots are wont to do. And Thorgrim, I don't know if he can carry this, guys. He's waddling. He's waddling into combat. He just axes those 2 Bestigors to death. Jesus Christ. But I do think he's going to be in a bit of trouble. And Thorgrim, his arms are tiring from fighting so many chaos things so many times in a row. What did he win? 3 times? 2? Yeah, he beat Valk, Papa Palpatine, and Butcherbird. Can he do it? Can he beat all 4? Thunderers sitting, trying to figure out what they want to shoot at, but they need to back away from these Bestigors as these Giant Slayers and Hammers are double teaming them. Those Bestigors are not long for this world. Razorgore Chariot is taking some damage, getting a little stuck up on Thorgrim himself. That is not ideal. Gore Herde's chasing off the Dwarf Warriors. Gore Herdes are better than Dwarf Warriors. I would probably pull them back in, let the Harpies do the chasing. Though they are a little low. Maybe if they're on their own, they would break. And some more Beastmen chaff coming back in. Harpies chasing off very well. And Deadly Bunnies has played super well this event. Quite the run he's had as well. As we look around, the Dwarves have some Hammers left, true, some Giant Slayers. But I don't know if they have enough. I don't know if they have enough to deal with this, guys. And Thorgrim is no Grom Brundle. He can't carry on his own. We will see. Most of the Dowie units are shattering. Bounce power is still pretty even. Thorgrim has a lot of that bounce power in his back pocket, but I think the game overestimates how good he is. Liam Clifford, hey, good to see you. All right. What's happening? You're catching the very end of a stream, my dude. It's Chaos versus some Order factions in an elimination style tournament, but we will get to that in just a second. Giant Slayers, almost out of dudes. Ekron's Miners, very low as well, and Thorgrim standing in the middle of his dwindling horde, trying to consider what to do next. Now the Beastmen, they could potentially lose this if Thorgrim hard carries, because they are a little low on health, and low health for Beastmen means low leadership. And that's bad. Also, their own archers are kind of cutting them down right now, I believe. believe most of these arrows are finding goat backs rather than giant slayers. But it is certainly looking favored for the Beastmen. And Thorgrim, unlike two of his Legendary Lord counterparts, is not unbreakable. His leadership is a factor, and he might get army lost before he even has a chance to fight. Poor guy. As the missile fire is just pouring in, and these chariots are looking like they want to have a go at him. Rethinking it? Nope, they're going to get him. They're charging uphill. He has stand your ground bonus leadership and 86 melee defense with 125 armor. Nothing is getting through that man. Except for maybe morale, as I believe every unit besides him is shattered. And we all know what that means. Army losses. Probably. Maybe. Most likely. Razor chariots piling in. Getting the little pig tusks on his dwarf bearers who are carrying him. But he is chasing after him and getting some hits on the way out as they are trapped up on just Thorgrim. It's delicious. Archers, how are we doing on ammo, boys? Out, out, and almost out. Deadly Bunny's desperately trying to break Thorgrim as his own forces are collapsing every time they run into him. Their leadership just tanks down. The balance power is kind of coming back. 439 versus 1. That's close. 439 versus 1. Oh, hey. Nice to see you guys from the Hotline Link shout out. I actually didn't think there'd be this much crossover, and I thought people would be like, Total War Warhammer? What's that game? High Elves, Lizardmen, Wood Elves next, I assume? I was also thinking Tomb Kings might be fun, but we will get to that. So Thorgrim is fighting against these Ungor Raiders, now just completely surrounded in filthy goat bodies as they peck and prod at him. He's not dying! He's hanging in there! And Kazric is pretty wounded. He can't have a lot to say about this, unfortunately. It'll probably be down to the Brave Shaman of Wilds to carry this again. Or army losses, as Thorgrim's leadership is just so low. And if you're wondering why he's casting spells off into space, there is a passive that he gets from casting spells that gives his army a buff. Alright, and that is a victory for the Beastmen. Beastmen carrying the day. I think... Let's go check. Photoshop. Scoreboard. Alright. So we had... Deadly Bunny's knocked out Billington. Deadly Bunny's knocked out Felix. Butcherbird knocked out Logic, and now Deadly Bunny's knocked out Thorgrim. So yeah, Beastmen took out 4 of the 5 Order factions. They don't need the DLC, guys. They don't need it. They're fine. They're fine. But we do have a winner. So Chaos wins. And it came down to the last game, which I'm happy about. I've told many people, but I was so worried that this stream was going to be... a blowout for one side, like all 5 Order factions win or all 5 Chaos factions win, and we don't have much of a stream. Oh no, that is wrong. Is it correct? Down here. There we go. All right. So what we have now, if I get rid of all this, is going to be these guys, these 5 players. I will invite them back. Can I do an eraser? Is eraser in a thing? Oh no, I've destroyed it. All right. These 5 will be back to fight their next challengers, which I am still deciding on. My original thought was Lizardmen, High Elves, and Tomb Kings, but it could be Wood Elves. So, we'll see. But yeah, so I'll invite these 5 exact players back to play these... I do keep wanting to cross out Deadly Buddies. These 5 players will play these 5 lords again if they're willing to. If they really want to change and they cry about it, it's fine. We don't really care. They can change. But they'll probably fight against 3 other factions. And right now I'm thinking it'll be High Elves, Lizardmen, and Tomb Kings who will... Now that if you know Total War, you know the world map. They've pushed through all the dwarves, the Bretonnians, the Empire. They're all dead. Dead and gone. Their cities are burning. It's all terrible. And now they're getting down to the Southlands, where they'll start to run into, like, Imric. They'll start to run into the Tomb King's lands. They might run into Tic-Tac-Toe. So it's just the next barrier of good guys trying to stop them from burning the whole world down. So I'll set that up. We'll play the games. And if you want to play, but you're worried about your time limit or time capacity kind of thing, how we did this is I told everybody what they would be. We got into a group chat, and then you play the games as you're able. These took like 2 weeks, but it's just, oh, hey, I have time Saturday. I'll play this game, play that. So it's very chill atmosphere, very relaxed, just trying trying to have fun with it, and then I'll cast all the replays like I did here once we have them all. So if you're worried about time, don't worry about it. So I posted my Discord earlier. I believe I still have the copy paste. Yep. Posting it again in the YouTube. If you want to see upcoming streams coming, or if you want to sign up in the faction face-off, I believe it's called, in my Discord, you can go to faction face-off, post your favorite faction, and when that faction comes up in this format, I'll contact you, ask if you want to play, you know, that kind of thing. But I had a lot of fun streaming today. I hope you all have a wonderful, what is it, Tuesday. And I gotta go drink some tea for my voice before I host D&D tonight, because I'm a bit of a nerd. A shitty nerd person. Thanks for coming, everybody. A lot of fun.